You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Sure.
Mr. President, are there
Wait a
any
minute.
requirements for that
Hang on a
gold
sec.
card? Do you have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Go
the
ahead.
EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense, make-believe, and fraud, and it was a way to get a green card that was low priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America. The president can give them a green card.
I wish he hadn't used the word global citizens, but set that aside. Beggars can't be choosers. The idea is amazing. Let's let this play out.
And they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
The gold card, well, millions, but the gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high level people.
Pause it. Also a missed opportunity. They could have called it the Trump card. I mean, come on. It practically writes itself. Because gold, although I like it, because gold, suggests that there might be platinum above the gold card, where if you have $10 million, you come right in, sir. We'll fly you in. I'm being tongue in cheek. It's we're going to talk about this because people are going to say, well, people are going to buy their way to the head of the line. Don't really fully appreciate the numbers that you're talking about. If you had 10,000 people willing to spend $5 million to cut the line, A, it would still be a drop in the bucket, and B, that would probably be the best problem you could ever possibly have. I don't know what 10,000 times 5 million is. Maybe Encryptus, who's working the backstage, can tell me what 10,000 times 5. It's a lot. It's a lot. But he should have called it the Trump card.
I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company. So
we could pause it here. By the way, you see the map behind him? You see that little circle there? That's Lake Okeechobee up in Florida. I thought it was a meteor crater, but I don't think it is. I think it's a pothole or a sinkhole crater. Can you believe what an amazing idea it is? Who posted this? Because they had an interesting commentary about this. It's George. The Lord is good. George Behezi, is that not another word for Behezi tweets? Says, once again, Trump is the expert of thinking of things we had no idea we could do. Now he's offering to sell U.S. gold cards to wealthy foreigners for $5 million in return for entry into the U.S. If 200 rich people do this, that's $1 billion. So 200 would be $1 billion. Okay, so that would be 1,000 would be $5 billion. So that would be $50 billion if you had 10,000 people willing to do it. It's a lot of money. Not that money is the only thing that's relevant when it comes to immigration, and for people who are cynical and say this is such a terrible idea, it's just favoring the rich. Canada's been letting in 500,000 immigrants annually. I think that's the number, give or take. If you're talking about 5,000, even if you're at that number, it doesn't make a dent into ordinary path for immigration. It's not just limiting it to the rich, but it certainly is facilitating a drop in the bucket for those who can afford it. But people also sort of forget that you have this thing called the EB visa. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's the investment visa. There was no fixed amount, and it's, I looked into it. It definitely wasn't $5 million. It was you invest a substantial enough amount of money in a business, employ a certain number of people, and sure, they will take a foreigner. They'll take a Canadian who can employ 10 or create 10 jobs in America. The reason why we're starting with this, and it's just amazing how, as I prepare for these shows daily, everything starts to fit together like wonderful pieces of a puzzle. I hadn't even heard about this. I mean, the news is moving a little bit quickly. Did the episode of The Unusual Suspects yesterday, and it was one of the subjects on The Unusual Suspects. And I say this is an amazing novel idea. It's not just money buys your way in. You're not going to get, cartel members from drug trafficking areas of Mexico coming in with 5 million, like I was going to say Rico Suave, but that's who the guy not Hugo Chavez. Come on, the drug kingpin, whatever his name is. Oh, come on. What's the drug kingpin's name? You're not going to get drug kingpins, former Nazis coming in with the 5 million. There'll be a vetting process, and you'll make sure that the people coming in who have the means to bring it in and to create jobs with their wealth and to reduce debt and to stimulate the economy. El Chapo, thank you. You're not going to get El Chapos coming in unvetted. As it is, it was already an open venue of immigration for anybody who was going to start a business, employ a certain amount of Americans, and it was mutually beneficial, which is what immigration is supposed to be. Immigration that is not mutually beneficial is exploitive on one end or the other, and sometimes on both ends. So when you have immigration that does not bring in qualified, skilled labor, what do you end up happening? What do you end up happening? What ends up happening? What do you end up having? Well, Jayapal was talking about it. Osborne's talking about it. Nadler's talking about it. You bring in people who you can exploit to literally pick your vegetables, to take the menial, trivial jobs, which were never intended to be career jobs, but you can exploit these people. Full-grown adults, it's indentured servitude. It's modern-day slavery. That is what you have when you have one-sided exploitive immigration. Mutually beneficial. This is amazing. And so what's amazing also is, so I hear about this piece, and it's an amazing initiative. True, outside the box, and nobody would have ever thought about it, and then nobody can possibly criticize it. You juxtapose that, because we will be juxtaposing a lot this episode. You juxtapose Donald Trump's qualified, skilled, strategic leadership to make America great again for Americans. There's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, America is not about making America great for Canadians. It's not about making America great for Europeans living in Europe. You have a president who is finally deciding to put his people first, and not to the detriment of other people, to the betterment of his own people. Trump was elected president of America, not president of the world, not president of the NATO, EU, whatever the hell you want to have. Justin Trudeau, on the other hand, who on his way out the door is not just burning the place down, but pissing on the ashes. You got your Trump Gold Card, which is going to be opening up a select tranche of immigration to skilled labor who have the finances to invest and better American society. What do you have coming out of Canada? I swear to you, people. Let me just see if I can. No, I won't even bring up the what I saw at first. I swear to you, I thought it was a joke. I'm so neurotic that I went to the government website. And then I'm like, no, this still can't be right. I'm looking at the links, and it's governmentofcanada.ca/. I still think there's a chance I got duped. You have Donald Trump implementing a Trump Gold Card, immigration for qualified, vetted immigrants who are going to bring $5 million to stimulate the economy, create wealth. What do you have coming out of Canada? It's not a joke, people. I should say it is a joke, but it's not funny. Now, I still don't believe that it's real. So I'm going to go click here. Okay, this is the official website of the Government of Canada. Look how beautiful it is. They got a nice setting sun with the winter. That looks like a picture I took, actually, up in St. Agathe. Beautiful. So this is the official government website, unless I'm getting duped again. So I'm up here in the address bar, canada.ca/en.html. Since I got bit by Grok yesterday, I'm once bitten, twice shy. We're on the official website. This is what Canada. First of all, let's just go down to the bottom and see when they changed this. This was date modified, January, February 7th. So 20 some odd days ago. It takes time for some of these things to trickle up to the commentators so that we can put it on further blast and absolutely shame an incompetent, corrupt, idiotic, stupid, partisan, ideologically, what's the word I'm looking for? Identity politic motivated idiot of a leader. Justin Trudeau is opening the border to LGBTQI plus refugees. First of all, these anti-native scumbags left out the 2S. Okay, do I need to teach it to you, Justin? It's 2SLGBTQIA+. 2S, two-spirit. L, lesbian. G, gay. B, bi. T, trans. Q, queer. I, intersex. A, I believe is asexual. Plus, for everyone else out there that we forgot to mention. So fix up your bigoted website, you scumbag Trudeau. But this is what they're doing. Canada has, this is real. This is Canada. And we're going to get into the absolute state of Canada in greater detail as the show progresses. Canada has a proud history of providing protection to and helping resettle those most in need. That includes those in the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and additional sexually and gender diverse LGBTQI plus community. I'm doing it, people. What happens if I click on this thing right here? Footnote. Now we use the term 2SLGBTQIA+ when referencing the community within Canada, reflecting First Nations use of the term Two-Spirit. When referring to international issues, including refugees, we use LGBTQI+. Oh, I actually understand it now. They're not using the 2S to refer to foreigners because that would be disrespectful to the Indigenous. Because the 2S is only for Two-Spirit Native Canadians, Canadians. So they don't want to demean bona fide Native Canadians. So they don't use the 2S when referring to foreigners because they're not Two-Spirit Native. My goodness. They have some jackasses thinking about this, running it by whatever internal think tanks they have. Then they've got, I don't know, is there like an editor at the government? Like, guys, okay, so where's the 2S? Well, we think that by including the 2S, it would actually be disrespectful to the Native community of Canada. So we should, when referring to foreigners, because they can't be Native Canadians, we should take off the 2S. Jim, I love it. You get a raise. Resettlement program. People who are persecuted because of their sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and sex characteristics. Sojayesk. Sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression. Oh, I guess it's gender identity, expression, and sexual characteristics are generally referred to Canada by the United Nations, the Rainbow Railroad, other referral organizations, private sponsors, Rainbow Refugee Assistance Partnerships. LGBTQIA people resettled to Canada come through either the government-assisted refugee program, private sponsorships, blended visa. This is United Nations HCR. What is I forget. Encryptus. What does UNHCR stand for? And you can let us know when you, I forget what that stands for. United Nations Healthcare. Okay, the Rainbow Railroad and
UNHCR is the UN Refugee Agency, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
Encryptus, if you were a member of the American Black community, and they were using, I presume they're using the Rainbow Railroad as a parallel to the Underground Railroad for how freed slaves or slaves escaped from the South to the North. Would you be offended?
I would absolutely be offended. Yes.
Okay. Does everybody know that you're not Black? Like, everybody knows that you're white, right? So I'm sure if we trace back our heritage, I could get some, maybe 2%, because we do, come from the Middle East at some point. But holy cow!
My wife says I'm part Black. Does that count?
Say it again.
My wife says I'm part Black. Does that count?
I get that. It doesn't count, but I have jokes and I have that I cannot make because I'm not into that type of stand-up comedy. But one day I'll be doing stand-up, people. Just wait. So the UNHCR, Rainbow Railroad, and other referred organizations can identify and refer LGBTQI plus refugees to be resettled under the government-assisted refugee program. Private sponsorships of refugees. Private sponsors can identify LGBTQI plus refugees. Rainbow Refugee Assistance Partnership. Okay. Do you know what's going to happen? I mean, there's two things. This absolutely sounds like a grooming process. And how the hell do they prove this? I made the joke on Twitter. I'm getting there, people. I'm getting there. Like, is there a refugee resettlement program casting couch? Like, you get into the government office and they're vetting you. Like, in Trump's America, they're going to vet. You have the money. You don't have criminal records. You didn't get that $5 million through laundering or drug dealing or whatever. All right, you're good. Come on in. You love America. You're going to pledge allegiance to the flag, to these United States and the Constitution for which they stand. I screwed that up. I'm sorry. What do they do in this vetting process? It says here on your application that you are queer. Prove it. I mean, it's sick. You're going to get. I imagine there's some bona fide, I'll just say like straight up gays and lesbians in foreign, in nations that are not necessarily tolerant to homosexuality, that are bona fide. I'm trans. I'm the I in the A. Let me in. Prove it. It sounds like one vast government-sponsored grooming program. Oh, but that's what's going on in Canada. And before anybody says, "Oh, Canada's fallen," and what the hell are you guys doing, and how bad does it have to get there? You're not immune from the insanity in America. The first thing that I do want to ask, they're extending this as an olive branch to the purported persecuted LGBTQIA plus community in America, because under Trump's America, no LGBTQIA plus person is safe. Except for the ones that no one at all has any problem with. But then again, those become the trans. What's it called when someone is a race traitor? They become the trans traitors. The Caitlyn Jenner who supports Trump, the Blair White, the Buck Angels, who no one would ever know of their biological identity, but they're the trans traitors because they support the party that allegedly doesn't support the trans. They're opening this up to Americans, and I'm thinking, like, is California not available? Like, is New York not available? Rhode Island, Michigan? But this is not just in America. This is not just in Canada. The problem is you're not immune from this in America, but because of the usual suspects who are playing into this. I saw this again, and I thought it was parody. Like, legit, I see this, and okay, that's a parody account. Then I look at the gold check, and it's a freaking gold check mark. Okay, I see this. You just look at it. Like, okay, a woman in Colorado has been arrested after police caught her with explosives at a Tesla dealership, authorities say. Read more, ABC. Okay, I'm like, okay, it's parody. I'm like, oh, I don't know. No, it's got the official account here. All right, it's not parody. They just used the wrong photo. It happens. This is ABC News. Fox News did the same thing. That's the person right there. You don't need to be a biologist to know that that is a man. Period. No shade. The person wants to dress like a woman. That's all the power to them. So long as it doesn't involve hurting other people when you're showing up with explosives to a Tesla factory, you be you. And nobody would care in the best possible way. They're trying to make us say 2 + 2 is 5. I believe that this is deliberate antagonism, potentially for click rage or clickbait rage. Like, people are going to go and now rage bait on rage bait. What's the word I'm looking for? Rage reply, as I did. But it's real. This is what they want us to believe, that this is a woman. He is taller than me. His jawbone is bolder than mine. And I thought it was the wrong picture. I thought it was parody, but it's not. It's reality, because they want us to believe the absurd. Here, check this out. Bada bing, bada boom. Look at this. I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing because the person identifies as whatever. I'm laughing at the absurdity that we are being told to not believe our own eyes. 2 + 2 = 5, and you will repeat it, and you will say it for the loyalty to the party. ABC deserves to lose their effing check marks. They deserve to lose their gold check mark. And if Elon is watching, strip them of their check mark. It's not just partisan biased reporting. It's egregious, overt lies to the point where it destabilizes people's faith in reality. Forget people's faith in the media. It's gone. You look at this and you say, I must be taking crazy pills. I don't believe what I'm reading, and I must be the one who's crazy. Maybe I am, but I'm not wrong here. Woman. Like, they say, not trans woman, which would already be more accurate, but still inaccurate. Woman caught trying to plant explosive devices I made a joke earlier on Twitter, like, violent crime by women is up substantially ever since men can become women. Now, some people might take offense to that joke and say women commit a lot of violent crime. They just don't get charged or convicted yet. You know what I mean? And it's sort of tongue-in-cheek observational. And I did look it up, by the way. Like, violent crime among women was up like 12-15% in 2019, like compared to 2010. And I'm like, I guarantee you, Encryptus, are you able to do this in real time? Does the trans madness correlate to or coincide with increased stats of women violence? I guarantee you it does, and it's probably not directly correlative. It might.
I've already looked that one up. That is 100% accurate. I will get you stats on that in just a moment.
Booyah. It might have to do with a bunch of other things, like, I don't know, testosterone in the water, or estrogen in men's, I don't know, maybe boys are men are eating more soy, so they're less testosterone laden and then committing less violent crime. So yeah, back to the story in here. A woman in Colorado has been arrested after police caught her with explosives at a testimony. The 40-year-old suspect, Lucy Grace Nelson. Now I know a boy named Sue. Now I think I know a boy named Lucy. Was arrested on Monday. Yada yada yada. Extensive investigation followed the vandalization. The punchline. Let's see if we can actually. Does this guy get to go to a woman's prison? If I'm guessing, he's still got a dick. And by the way, Encryptus, I bet you know this one too, but pregnancies are up. Unexpected pregnancies are up a lot in women's prisons ever since trans men have been allowed in. It's an amazing thing how that happens. The person is a known Antifa activist, according to Andy No. Nelson was immediately arrested, booked, yada, yada. She was issued a $100,000 cash surety bond with the following the charges. The Loveland Police Department continues to work closely with the Bureau, yada, yada, yada. The investigation is ongoing. So it's a collective descent into insanity, almost literally. But at the very least, and I say this as someone who has the benefit and the privilege of being in Florida, while the both of our respective nations of America and Canada take wildly different trajectories. And I've got to say, looking at it from here, I'd rather be here than there. But it's not perfect here because you got the media doing everything they can to basically ruin everything. But Elon, strip them of their gold check mark. Are there not rules of conduct for being given Is the gold check mark organizational? I think it's organizational. Let me see something here. I'm fairly certain the gold check mark is organizational and not just a paid thingy thing here. So if I go to that and I put it on here and it says, how do you do this? If I scroll over, verified account. This account is verified because it's an official organization on X. All right. I mean, I guess you have official propaganda organizations and they're entitled to their gold check. I strip them of their gold check mark. It should be punishment for being bald-faced liars and trying to indoctrinate children, confuse the vulnerable, and piss off those who could see through it. Did I say good morning, everybody? Good afternoon. Finboy Slick is in the house here. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. Encryptus is Viva's new grok. I want to say Encryptus is Viva's Jamie, but that sort of like elevates me to a position that I don't deserve of being compared to Rogan. And it also sort of Encryptus is a bigger brain than me. Encryptus made the joke that I've got the face for the. I don't even think that that's true, but Encryptus is amazing. For anybody who doesn't know who he is, go to our locals community. It's Encryptus on Twitter. It's Agent Guru _IO. And he's helping out. He does amazing AI stuff and is helping out with Brett Sears to go through all of those Theresa Tam documents. He's helping with Eric Hunley go through the JFK documents. He's a big brain, like very big. Let me see what I got here. Ginger Ninja 1776, the man who made me this chest board, not the pieces, but this board right behind me. Don't be ridiculous, Viva. The Canadian government wouldn't ever hire anyone named Jim. I realized that was a mistake of the joke when I said it. And then Ginger says, don't ask Encryptus which part. That was my other joke there, but I didn't want to go with that. And then I got Ginger Ninja says, if you're driving 40 miles per hour in your Tesla and throw in reverse, will the... Hold on, let me think about this. If you're driving 40, I presume that means miles per hour. Yep, the O is next to the P in your Tesla and throw it in reverse. That has to do with mechanics, and I don't get the joke, but that's because I'm an idiot. And there was one that I missed over on Locals, which came in before the show, which was AKA Patrick says, please don't swear in French. It's very offensive to serious Catholics. You should, hold on, what was the last part of that? You should realize this. AKA Patrick, I'm not saying this to be glib. I appreciate the statement, offenses taken and not given. And if anyone is offended by a French-Canadian cuss word, I think that they would need to grow some thicker skin in life. Because I'm from Quebec, and that's how we done swear up in Quebec. All right, now, but speaking of going back to Canada, we're going to go to Canada, then we're going to go to Romania, and then we're going to see what else is going on. Oh, over on CommuTube, the chats don't always come up here. Boz Bundalo says the reason they're still addressing him as a she should be immediate reason to strip all ABC News broadcasting and media licenses. I say absolutely. And I say absolutely because it's not fair to now regard that as a woman having committed a crime. It's a load of shit, and they're not going to get me to say 2 + 2 = 5. If the dude wasn't violent, we could have like a very peaceful coexistence. Wants to call himself a she, he can call himself a she. I won't do it. But the ABC News should be stripped of everything that makes them, a recognized, accredited media outlet. Okay, they will go bankrupt sooner than later, so nature will take its course. Boz Bundalo also says, Viva, are you sick of winning yet? I sure as hell am not. The winning is amazing. I'm so excited and optimistic for this country. It's wild. Then there was another one from Boz Bundalo. Thank you very much. I'll just say this. If Trump makes peace between Russia and Ukraine that also benefits the U.S. financially and also makes the Middle East situation better, Dems will not get into power for decades. Well, on that, let me open up a parenthesis on that one. Sorry, let me just show you this because I can't. I'm using Rumble Studio, and I love Rumble Studio. It doesn't bring up the commie chats. On that point, by the way. So let me just see one thing here. If anyone had listened to The Unusual Suspects yesterday or listened to Barnes, you would have made some money on the Epstein market. But yesterday it went down to 50%. And I said, that makes absolutely no sense that it went down to 50 cents. And then I reinvested in that market. And today I believe it was at 93% because they've announced that they're basically, it's 95% now. So, now it's down to 90%. They're going to release the Epstein documents. I said it yesterday on The Unusual Suspects. I put it on Twitter. They have to. They cannot get out of it. They maybe, if they want to, create cause for suspicion, they're going to release some, but not others, or it's going to be redacted. And then everybody's going to say, oh, you're redacting the names of your friends so that you can throw Democrats under the bus or whatever. That is a legitimate concern, and it's a legitimate problem of not releasing it in its entirety. They are going to, not from any insider knowledge that I have, but because they have to. It would be a violation of a core promise of a verbal undertaking and of an open admission in plain view on broadcast, national broadcast, when Pam Bondi says, I have it on my desk, I'm waiting to release it. They cannot get out of releasing it now. So the only issue is going to be if it's redacted, in which case people are going to have some suspicion, or if it's going to be, damn, everybody who's went to that effing island is going to be suspicious as fuck. There's so many things, they all tie into each other. Release the damn Epstein files. You know why? Bill Gates needs to go to jail. Bill Gates needs to be charged. In my humble opinion, I know everybody's innocent until proven guilty. Bill Gates is guilty of having done very bad things. Set aside the whole COVID stuff. Melinda Gates doesn't divorce someone and say it's in large part because of their disgusting relationship with known sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. You don't do that. That doesn't happen, and you're not guilty of something. So I appreciate, there's guilty in court and then there's guilty in the court of public opinion. O.J. Simpson, you always have to refer to him as legally innocent, but I would always refer to him as guilty, even though Barnes made a compelling argument about his actual innocence. Bill Gates is guilty of big, serious stuff. If it's only COVID, he deserves to go to jail for the rest of his life. But I in my heart of heart, I believe it, and maybe I'm biased, and maybe I'll always look for information to confirm that. I guarantee you, at least I would bet on this, that he was blackmailed or involved in unholy, evil, sinister stuff with Epstein on Epstein's Island. Taking down Bill Gates is the way to get to a lot of these other players, including Mark Carney, out of Canada, running for the leadership race. We're going to get to that in a bit. I spent the better part of the morning, looking through old interviews, trying to find dirt on Mark Carney. The fact that this man, who is a globalist WEF POS, is appearing alongside Bill Gates, who is a criminal against humanity, as far as I'm concerned. Forget about the whole vaccine testing on third world nations, whatever. That would be going after Bill Gates would be the surefire way to take down the Liberal Party, or at the very least, Mark Carney's liberal leadership candidacy. So release those documents now. And then everyone who appeared on the frickin' panel with Bill Gates, you sus. But I don't want to forget about the entire reason why I'm on this tirade. Trump is going to find peace in Russia. It is going to be mutually beneficial to, I would say mutually, it's going to be beneficial to America, American interests. It will be a lasting peace in Russia. And Canada should pay attention too, because It's not an accident that Trump is saying, I want to get some of your rare earth minerals out of Ukraine as part of this peace deal, as part of our 450 billion, whatever he thinks is 360 billion. The news only says it's 175 billion. We want some of your rare earth minerals to pay us back for our investment, because war should not be an investment. We want some of your rare earth minerals, and that's going to be part of the deal, which is going to sort of take a little bit of the sting, in as much as, a sting from a lone fire ant hurts somebody, out of Canada imposing tariffs or, refusing to provide certain rare earth minerals from Canada. It is wonderful 4D global strategy. Tariff war with Canada. If they don't comply and they go dollar for dollar tariff and they don't want to, provide resources, minerals, whatever, get them from Ukraine as part of solving that and bringing peace to Ukraine. And Canada should pay attention, because it's not an accidental turn of events. He will find peace in Russia and Ukraine, and the only complaint that the left is going to have, and they'll shriek like a bunch of whiny bitches, is that you didn't do it on day one. It actually took him 2 months to do it. So that's that. Okay. Kiki Blue says, saw where Pam Bondi said they are waiting on redactions of the victims' names. How do they know? Do they have their ages? That was the only, but it's funny, like, why would I believe that they're still redacting the victims' names? It doesn't matter, though. She says, it's on my desk. We're going to release it. You know what I predict you're going to see there? You're going to see scientists who are on that list or on that island. And that is going to explain why they've been captured, why they come out promoting the most idiotic, globalist, WEF-oriented, unscientific horseshit on Earth. You're going to realize that politics was captured through blackmail. Science has been captured through blackmail. Medicine has been captured through blackmail, and it will come out. They might not be guilty. Who knows what they're guilty of? We're going to see names like Stephen Hawking's on Epstein's Island, Bill Gates on Epstein's Island, climate scientists, whatever you want to call them, on Epstein's Island. Encryptus, can you do a deep search and see if Mark Carney is suspected to have ever visited Epstein's Island?
On it.
Ginger Ninja says, Viva knows how to pronounce double entendre, but he doesn't pick up on double entendres. No, not when I read the jokes when I'm live. So, all that to say, you're going to find out that politics, medicine, science, climate bullshit has all been the results of blackmail and extortion. And the arts went through P. Diddy, probably, innocent until proven guilty. And the sciences and politics went through Epstein. And there's no innocence until proven guilty there, because he was already proven guilty. Guilty of sex trafficking, and yet to whom we yet do not know. So that document is coming. But speaking of corrupting and co-opting and extorting compliance in the sciences, now we get into Mark Carney. But before we even do that, and I should have said this earlier, to all those watching on CommuTube, get your butts on over to Rumble, because we're going to go over there now. We vote with our feet, vote with our eyeballs, and we're going to take this party on over to Rumble, Viva Fry on Rumble. Here's the link. It's pinned. And if you want to come over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com to our amazing above-average community there, it's there. We're going to talk about Mark Carney and the leadership race. I'll tell you over on Rumble. Let me just make sure I haven't missed any super chats over on CommuTube, and I think we're good. Now, was there one more there? Oh, Boss Bundle. Okay, we got that. Viva. Oh, that's my link. Oh, so-called Prince Andrew. There you go. That's another one. Tom Hanks. Let's see. And then Dede Tudor says, Viva, you are absolutely right. Come on over to Rumble, and the party shall carry on over there. I've been getting really bad at uploading the podcasts to the streams to podcast format. So I just uploaded my interview with Jana London, which was on Monday, and Rudy Dalla, which was on Saturday. So go catch up on those. It's on Spotify, all the places. Updating, get your butts on over Viva Fry on Rumble or vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Updating